Well, welcome everybody. It's good to see you all. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Really appreciate the support. But yeah, the reason that we're having this tonight is because it's time for current customers to refresh on why they're actually taking the Protandim and other products that they're taking. As I mentioned in a message that I sent to everyone, you know, you take something for a while and then you forget, oh, do I take 1 tablet or 2 tablets, or am I supposed to take that with food, or when do I take that? So we tend to need to update. And I thought this was, you know, the best way to do it. So after Margie's going to sort of refresh us all on the products, we'll have a Q&A. We'll have it open for discussion. And then if you have any questions about any of the products or anything else, please feel free to ask myself and Margie the questions. And just a little bit of a background of how I got to be involved with LifeVantage was back in 2020. It was a pretty devastating year for all of us, and my whole life changed. We'd come through a really rough patch where we'd had to sell the house. The company we were working for went into liquidation. We had, you know, a lot of family stuff happening, and we were sort of picking ourselves up from that. My husband started at a new job, and I'd filled my year up with gigs. And then March 2020 happened, and all the shows that I'd worked so hard to get had been cancelled. The whole year wiped out. The new job that my husband started, unfortunately, they had to reduce pay to cover things. So it was a really, really devastating time for us. When it first started, I started doing Facebook Lives, but at the same time, you all know I was an entertainer, and I thought that way I can communicate with my fans. But then, as well as all that happening, I had some health issues, and I had to be quiet. I had to keep rest my voice, and I couldn't even sing to lift my spirits. It was a really, really difficult time. And I decided to study to be a life coach because it had been something I'd always wanted to do. So I started doing that, started doing pro bono coaching, but I still had the issue of finances. JobKeeper came in, so that helped for a little while, but that was temporary. I knew that was temporary, and I needed to do something else, and I needed to do something from home so that when my music started again, I could still do my music and do the life coaching, because I was loving, that so much. And I kept praying. I was just praying for help, praying to God all the time. And then Margie contacted me and told me about the Protandim and how it had changed her life, not just for her health, but also financially with the goals that she had set for herself. She, it just was so happy about the outcome that it had given her. So I took all the information to my doctor and my naturopath, and they said, take it. They were blown away, take it. And I did. Within a few months, all the results were showing in all my blood tests, and I knew that I was on the right path. And I'll be eternally grateful to Margie for contacting me and telling me about it all. So that's sort of, in as short as I could be, how I got to this point of just loving the company and the products so much, because it turned my life around with my health, and I'm just so grateful. So enough of me. I'm going to pass you over to Margie for Margie to give you more details about the products. As you can see, Margie is a specialist, a lymphatic drainage specialist, and a lot of other things. So over to you. Thank you, Margie.
Thanks, Kel-Anne. I must say, Kel-Anne has been an absolute breath of fresh air coming into my life, and I almost feel like she's a kindred sister for me. That's what it feels like. It's just been so beautiful. And this is just the beginning of our journey together. So this company has made a huge difference to my life. Kel-Anne mentioned something about my health. I was bitten by a tick and I was extremely ill. And I didn't actually know what to do. I got, I think, a little depressed because I thought perhaps this was now going to be my life, because no one knew what was wrong with me. And in Australia, what I had, they do not acknowledge or treat. So I actually went to France, came back and went straight into Royal North Shore Hospital. And I was on oral antibiotics and then ordinary intravenous antibiotics. And then I came home. I still wasn't well. There were days that I'd just be in bed as though I had chronic fatigue. It was terrible. Aches and pains and all kinds of things. Foggy brain, like I couldn't even work the computer. And my friend Trish told me about this product. I said no to her 4 times before, 3 times. On the 4th time, I said to her, okay, give me that bloody stuff. I didn't take it thinking this is going to be fantastic, because I just wanted to get better. But I was so closed to an opportunity that this might make a big difference. And I can tell you, within 3 weeks, I phoned Trish back and I said, Trish, I am feeling so much better. You better upgrade me from a customer to a distributor, because when I'm feeling well, and I think by the end of next month, I'll be able to open the clinics again. I hadn't opened the clinic for 18 months. And I did. At the end of the following month, I opened the clinic, and I've just never looked back. And what Kel-Anne mentioned was the fact that it's made a difference not only to my health. My finances were also not in a very good space. It had been a difficult time, and I had been with the company for only 6 weeks when my daughter phoned and said to me, she's in South Africa, Mum, I need you to come and look after the children. I've got to go into hospital. Well, I wasn't even in Sydney at the time. I was at a conference on the Gold Coast. Anyway, I said, darling, I'm not at home. Why don't you phone me on Sunday? She said, Mom, it's urgent. Anyway, on Sunday, sure enough, she phoned, and she didn't say, Mom, will you come? She said, your ticket's booked, you're leaving on Tuesday. I had a day and a half, and I was on the plane to South Africa. And expecting to be there for 6 weeks, I was there for 6 months. And do you know what happened in that 6 months? My payment from the company tripled from the November when I left to the July when I got back. My monthly amount paid to me as residual income had tripled. And the business just grew around me. I'd only enrolled 18 customers in the 6 weeks and 3 distributors. And they just kept going. So this is a very viable business opportunity. And the reason they took it on was because of the difference it made to their health. So I hope that gives you just a little background. But what we're going to share with you today is not just the fact of the products. It's about overall health, because if we don't look at things like quality sleep, daily breath work, breathing, that's why Qigong is so important when we do concentrated breath work, healthy food choices, these are all things that make a big difference. Daily exercise, vital. Community contact. This too, people forget about it being one of the pillars of health. So if that is not part of your pillars, think about introducing community contact on a weekly basis. Quality water. A lot of people are still drinking water straight out of the tap with all the chlorine and all the other things that are in there that are really not good. Quality air. So if you're living in an area where it's polluted, just make sure the weekends you get into the country. Time out. This, I feel, is also very important. It's all about the balance. So 5 minutes of relaxation a few times a day is just what the body needs to just be reactivated. But what we're talking about today, particularly, is body activation. So there are 3 theories of aging: oxidative stress, which we're going to talk about, mitochondrial decline, and sirtuin activity. Those 3 issues are the things where people age with disease and illness, as opposed to reducing oxidative stress, increasing their mitochondrial activity and sirtuin activity so they can age with health and wellness. And that is our prime objective by doing what we do. So by using Protandim, NRF2, NRF1, and NAD, these three pathways are activated, and it's like switching on a switch, switching it on, upgrading and upregulating the good genes and downregulating the bad genes. So from me, a huge welcome to LifeVantage, and we call ourselves the biohacking company. Now, why is that? Biohacking, a lot of people don't actually know what biohacking means, but what it means is when somebody uses science and technology. Now, these are guys in the gym, and there's lots of science and lots of technology available to show that when people exercise, their body functions improve and they become more effective. So what we do in our business, just a quick disclaimer, we do not claim to heal, cure, mitigate any diseases or diagnose any. What we're going to be sharing, and especially over question time, is our opinion about some of the questions that are going to come up. So LifeVantage is a 17-year-old company. In fact, we are 20 years now, and we are at the leading edge of what they call nutrigenomics. So this is the case. What we do is nutrigenomics is at the leading edge of technology. It's disruptive technology. So I thought we might just take a quick refresher. What is disruptive technology? In the transport industry, Uber disrupted the taxi industry. In the finance industry, Bitcoin made a huge impact. And what about the hotel industry? A huge impact Airbnb made to the hotel industry. They caught a huge wake up, and it's all about technology. So when it comes to nutrigenomics, that's when they disrupted the nutraceutical industry. So I'm going to just repeat that nutraceutical is not pharmaceutical. Nutraceutical are the natural supplements that people have been taking for years and years and years, but nothing has changed. No innovation in the last 70 or 80 years. LifeVantage has disrupted the nutraceutical industry by introducing nutrigenomics. This disruptive technology upregulates the good and downregulates the bad by increasing coordinated cell signaling within this body internally. So it's nothing external. So what is nutrigenomics? So nutri, meaning the nutrients, and the genomes, the study of how nutrients and naturally occurring compounds affect our genes. And that is actually what happens when we take Protandim, NRF1, NRF2, and NAD. If we look at it a little bit closely, it means we do not have to accept the fact that because my mother or my father or my grandparents, whatever, had this thing wrong with them, it's in the family, it's in the genes, I'm going to have that wrong. That is not the case. When we upregulate the good genes, downregulate the bad, the body comes back in balance the way it should be. So we are extremely proud that LifeVantage is a company that is actually driven by science. We're a wellness and personal care company that knows the products are only as good as the science it stands on. So I'm not going to go into a great lot of detail about the science, but we will touch on it. This is just to give you a little background. The fact that this company is not a fly-by-night. We've been around a long time. We've passed many milestones. I think the biggest milestone was 2005 when the ABC primetime in the US aired a report. The reporter wanted to debunk the fact that Protandim NRF2 reduced oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. And he was wrong because it actually worked. So it was not possible. When he aired the results of his report, it put the cat among the pigeons because our 5 scientists who'd been working on this project, they didn't have the stock, they didn't have the marketing, they didn't have anything to support a product with such high demand. So let's just come back quickly to a couple of points where you can just take a little look at yourselves. How is your lifestyle impacting your health? Is the community you're blending with and mixing with impacting your health? Is the environment you're living in and spending time with impacting your health? And have the genes that you've inherited, are they impacting upon your health? So before we go into a little bit more detail, it's important to look at the aspect of aging. Where does it start? Does it start when you're 1? Does it start when you're 10? Does it only start when you're 80? And when we look at these very interesting researched figures, the brain starts slowing down from a very young age. The eyes start blurring at 40. The ears decline, the tones you hear from 20. The heart, 20 to 30% from the age of 20, moving up to 70. The lung capacity declines. By the age of 20, it starts declining. Bones, mineral content declines after the age of 35, and muscles, and so on throughout the whole body. So what actually happens when free radicals attack our cells? It causes the cells to age. What are these free radicals? They look like this. What do? They are caused by pollution, stress, radiation, all sorts of things that we do not expect. Even the ultraviolet rays from the sun, the air we breathe, even just ordinary breathing, even living. Too much exercise, too little exercise. All of that impacts our bodies, and it produces oxidative stress internally, which means a heightened inflammation in the tissues, in the cells, in the joints, in the whole body, including the brain. So if I said to you, have you heard of oxidative stress? Well, what is oxidative stress? Why should we lower the oxidative stress in our body? Oxidative stress damages the cells, the protein, the DNA, and all of that contributes to the aging process. So we don't need to age and feel aches and pains and feel tired and have all those things related to the aging process. We should be able to age with health, wellness, and vitality. And this is what our company is all about. So how do we lower oxidative stress? When we increase our oxidants, it's almost like a seesaw. As we increase our antioxidants, it reduces the free radical damage. But now the problem being here is that in our bodies, as we age, it becomes more difficult because our bodies don't make as much antioxidants as they did from the age of 20 down to birth. From the age of 20, the way our body produces antioxidants is reduced. So what Protandim NRF2 synergizer does, that pathway gets activated and the free radicals are neutralized. That's exactly what we want. It helps reduce free radical damage in the cell. And we have 31 peer-reviewed studies that show this. And it's so simple because it took many, many tests, more than 200 different herbs and spices and plants and roots for those scientists to find which of these activated that NRF2 pathway the most. And here you can see it was ashwagandha, bacopa, turmeric, milk thistle, and green tea. Those were the 5 that activated the pathway the most. Then the next set of research was what quantities of each of those had the best impact and activated it most. And that is the patented formula, which we are delighted to tell you that patented formula is in all our products across the skincare, across the hair care, and so on. I absolutely love this particular screen because what it shows that turmeric and milk thistle and green tea and all of those do have an effect on our health, but you can see how little effect it has. But when those 5 active ingredients are taken in the patented formula, it's 18 times more effective than each one of those ingredients on their own. So that is why the results with Protandim are so effective. Now, the other really important thing is glutathione. When we take Protandim, it upregulates glutathione. Now, just look at that figure. It promotes glutathione production in the body. Our body makes glutathione, and it boosts it by 300% over 90 days. Now, we know, and you just can Google it yourself and have a look. High levels of oxidative stress and low levels of glutathione, that combination is at the root cause of all diseases, illnesses, conditions, etc. So this is what we want to avoid. We want to increase the glutathione, reduce oxidative stress, so we feel fabulous, look fabulous, and live a life that's really upbeat, rather than feeling tired and not doing stuff that you really would love to do. So Protandim also has an effect. It increases superoxide dismutase. Now, it sounds like a big, long word. They often call it, well, it's most often referred to as SOD and catalase. Now, these 3 are the 3 most important antioxidants, and Protandim upregulates and increases the production of those in the body. I've mentioned a couple of times about the research. These are just a few, but what is really interesting, these are all independent studies, not paid for by LifeVantage. And it's really interesting that most of them have been done on Protandim, the product, not Protandim's ingredients. So quite often you hear about a product, they say, oh, we've got all this research. And the research actually is on the ingredients in the product, not on their actual product. So these are just a few of the many, many studies. But what I wanted to share with you was one of the studies that really, when I first started, impressed me. It's Washington State University. It was in 2005, and it still holds good. Protandim NRF2, which may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough. Note the word they used, preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. In our opinion, that raising NRF2, that's activating that pathway, is likely to be the most important health promoting approach into the foreseeable future. So that's not something we said, but it's something that we can share because it was said independently of us. So I'm sure with Kel-Anne having shared with you about Protandim, we have 3 pillars of health in Australia and New Zealand. New Zealand also has NAD. NAD is not here, but it's in New Zealand. So our 3 pillars of health in Australia are Protandim, NRF2, our flagship product, Protandim, NRF1, and ProBio. Why ProBio? It is a probiotic. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that later, but the 3 work in tandem. So I've told you a little bit about Protandim, NRF2. Now here, Protandim, NRF1 synergizer. It's the pathway, that NRF1 pathway is the pathway that keeps the mitochondria functioning at peak performance. Now, in every single cell in the body, there are mitochondria, not just 1 or 2, but thousands. And it's almost like a battery. Without proper, efficient, effective, and numerous mitochondria, we would have no energy. And that's why when people get old, they accept that they're slowing down and they can't do this and they can't do that and they're tired and blah, blah, blah. It's because their mitochondria are damaged. But if the mitochondria are activated with Protandim, NRF1, those mitochondria are able to replicate more and correctly, and they are fully functional. So that is the most important thing. It also helps reduce the free radical damage. And most important, it enhances the energy levels. It's like having a major impact of a torch. When there's batteries in the torch and you put it on, you can see in the dark. Well, when there's no batteries in the torch, you stay in the dark. We have found that with Protandim Synergizer NRF1 and 2, it doesn't matter, it says here, peak performance. It doesn't matter whether you're hiking or you're paddling dragon boats or you just going for a walk, whatever exercise you're doing. These are three things that the two of them together, the dual synergy, NRF1 and 2, you are able to increase your performance. You're able to reduce the risk of injuries, and you shorten the recovery time. So some people, when they go for a huge, big, long walk, you know, they finish the next day. They don't want to walk the next day because they're tired. But with this one, you are able to maintain, and of course, it keeps your body in good nick. You know what? I'm just going to tell you a quick story. Yesterday, I went for a walk and I had COVID. So it's actually the third walk I've been on since I had COVID. So I've only done 20-minute or half-hour walks. We got lost in a park, and we were in this national park walking up and down and through the water, through the rivers. And we walked for an hour and 3/4. And at one point towards halfway mark, I slipped on the slimy rock where the water was flowing over. It wasn't a river, but it was trickling over. And the more I tried to stand up, the more my feet slipped. And then I was on my hands and I couldn't even stabilize my hands because they were slipping and sliding. And I just lay in the water. Luckily, my friend who was with me, Lou, he said, just stay still. He said, I'm going to pick you up. I said, how can you pick me up? Well, he stood over me like a crane and he lifted me out of the water and walked with me and stood me up on dry ground. Well, you know, I thought there's no ways I'm going to even function today. But you know what? I had a tiny little, like a golf ball on my knee, which is almost gone. And I feel great. After a fall like that, I thought, I'm done. I'm going to be finished. So whether it's the same thing that it says, functioning at peak performance, quick recovery, all of those things that sports people acknowledge and report back to us on what happens when they take the product. So here again, 5 naturally occurring compounds: grape extract, quercetin, acetylcarnitine, coenzyme Q10, and alpha-lipoic acid. 5 very naturally occurring extracts. Now, again, those are 5 that had the biggest impact on the NRF1 pathway. There were many that they tested to get the right one. And again, it is patented. So here's just a quick little recap on the ProBio. It's a vegan capsule, and they call it a DR cap. What is important there is that it only takes 52 minutes. When you take it, you are able to swallow it. It goes down your digestional tract. It goes through the stomach acid without disintegrating, so that by the time it gets to the intestines, all the good bacteria that are encased are allowed to be absorbed in the small and large intestines, doing the repair job that they're meant to do, to keep your gut in good health. So people underestimate how important it is. And just as a quick little aside, cardiologists feel healthy gut, healthy heart. So Protandim NRF2 with ProBio is a great combination. And we're coming to another one, which is for heart health. Okay, here we go. So heart health is really important. Great benefits from the omegos. So it's a combination. It includes vitamin D, and they trace the oils from boat to bottle, the highest quality. So that's a third one that goes for our cardiologists. So here's a quick look at the skincare, which I mentioned is activated by NRF2. So that is the anti-aging formula. It's in all the skincare. It's the only skincare product in the world that is activated by NRF2. And the same goes for our hair care. Both regimes have excellent results. I thought I'd just put this in just before closing. It's really important that the standard of manufacturing is absolutely up to perfection, because we have many doctors, and the doctors are actually growing at a massive rate, that are coming on board and working with our product in various areas, specialist areas with children, actually, even though it's not recommended for children, but there are specialists who are using it, heart people in all areas, and estheticians and so on. So LifeVantage products are consistent. It's very important. They're effective and 100% tested. So our manufacturing process exceeds industry standards. All the raw materials are brought into the 8 factories in and around Utah. They're not all in the Utah province, they're in other states as well. But all of it is controlled completely by LifeVantage. Nothing is outsourced. It's all manufactured in the US by LifeVantage. So this is my last slide, I thought, before we go to question time. I've been with the company for 4 years now, and it's been such a pleasure to partner with Kel-Anne. When I started, all we had was Protandim NRF2. That's the only product we had. 9 months later, NRF2 was launched. Subsequently, we've had the skincare, the hair care, and the products launched in the US, which I am delighted to tell you. This is why we say progression. From a small biohacking company or biotech company, the industry, we are leading, not only biohacking, but we are the leading activation company in the world. And we believe there's no limit to the human potential when there exists a passion for progression. And that is our research and development team. So I'm going to tell you a little secret. We have 2 amazing products coming to the Australian market. The one is called Axio, and it's coming very soon. It is a neurotopic, which is a brain, not stimulant. It improves cognitive function. It helps the coordinated signaling to improve, to go back to what it used to be. Now, I've been taking the product for 6 months already, because that's when it was launched in the US. But we've been waiting for it here in Australia, and it's coming very soon. NAD, which is the Saturn activation, that is also coming. We're hoping to have that by October. And there's another product, but I won't tell you about that because we don't know when it's coming. But the company is really at the leading edge, and they're finding products that are going to improve our health, and especially because anti-aging is what the company is all about, activating the body so that we age with health and wellness. So if you would like to ask us a question, please just unmute and let's have some questions. Doesn't matter whether it's about the company or the products or any health conditions or whatever.
Thank you for that, Margie.
Yeah, Margie, I've had, as Kel-Anne will know, I've had a lot of heart problems. I'm on heaps and heaps of medication at the moment. My question is, if I take Protandim, do I take it with the medication or only by itself?
It is suggested that if you are on any medication, there is no problem, but you should take your medication with a 2-hour gap, either before or after. So if you take your Protandim, wait 2 hours and take your medication, right, or the other way around.
Are you on warfarin?
No.
No, we're fine then. So yeah,
there's no
there's no interaction. Just have a 2 hour, 2 to 3 hour gap in between.
Okay. I am on Brilinta. I don't know if you know about that one.
No, there's no. But the only one is warfarin.
Warfarin is the problem.
And we actually do have some people who are on warfarin who don't increase the Protandim, because when Joe McCord did all the research, his advice to us was you take the product for 1 month for every decade of life. So when a client would say to me, oh, I just want to try it for a month. And I'd say, so how old are you? And if they say they're 20 or 30 or 40 or 60, I'd say, well, you know, you really should take the product for 6 months if they're 60. And if they're 80, then you take it to 8 or 9 months.
Right.
And I've got lots of clients who are 80 plus taking the product. There's no problem with the age at all. In fact, they feel their brain notices it more than anything because they feel normal again. They get their brain back because the cell signaling increases straight away.
Right.
So it's important that people know to take the product for 1 month for every decade of life before they decide they're going to either stop taking it or whatever. And the other thing is 1 Protandim NRF2, which is the little yellow pill, 1 tablet per day is what is recommended for the maintenance of health and wellness. Did you hear what I said? The maintenance.
Yeah, maintenance.
So if someone has an issue, like when I fell yesterday, what do you think I did when I walked in the front door? I took 2 Protandim immediately, and this morning I had 2 immediately. That's what I did. Because it gets rid of oxidative stress in the body so the body can repair. When the body's full of oxidative stress, it's really difficult for the body to do what it needs to do naturally.
Okay.
Yeah. We want the body back in balance.
Okay, so I can take, as you said, a 2-hour gap between Protandim and the medications. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Good. Okay.
Fab.
All right.
What about you, Linda?
Look, it's fascinating listening to it all again. I have tried the products. I can't say, I suppose, to be fair, I only tried them for a month.
Yeah.
I'm sure that wasn't long enough.
No.
But I just...
How old were you, Linda, when you tried them? Is it recently or a long time ago?
Last year.
So, I mean, give yourself 5 or 6 months. Like.
I agree. But I just sort of thought, oh, look, you know, because thankfully I'm on no medication whatsoever. I'd say I'm reasonably healthy now, and my gut's certainly a lot better. I think the only issue I'm having at all is cold sores from stress, from the virus. Now, I don't know whether that would have any help with Protandim, or I don't know.
Absolutely. So when I said there are more than 2,000 diseases, conditions, and so on, that are the root cause by oxidative stress, high levels of oxidative stress, inflammation, and low levels of glutathione. Right. If your glutathione levels are low, it's very difficult to fight off those things and to repair and get better from those things very quickly. Does that make sense?
Yep. I'll rethink. Thank you, Margie.
So you know, I also say to people, a lot of people have said, you know, they just can't afford to take blah blah blah. So I say to them, you know what? It's more expensive to be ill than it is to take Protandim. That's the one thing. The second thing is we have a fabulous program. It's called Friends and Family Discount. So where are you, Linda? Are you in Australia or in New Zealand?
Yes, in Australia. Yes.
So in Australia, you get $16.50 discount every time.
Yes.
You refer a customer.
Yes.
So you could actually get your product free.
Yeah.
And your customer gets $16.50 discount.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. That's all right. I'm just
It's a great benefit to have that as an incentive to stay on the product and share with people.
Yes. Yeah? I agree.
Fantastic. What about you, Rhonda?
I'm just new. I'm just came in just to have a listen to what was happening.
Rhonda's a fellow entertainer.
Obviously.
And Anton, we've had this discussion before. Do you have any more questions? Because we answered a few for you last week.
Yeah, you did. That's right. Yeah, no, fascinating. I like the presentation tonight. That was because we didn't really go through the actual slideshow last week, did we? was
No.
more just an
No.
open conversation. So I really enjoyed the presentation, and thanks, Kel-Anne, for sharing your story at the beginning. That was what you went through earlier on. That was interesting. Yeah, look, for me, I love biohacking anyway. It's something I've always been interested in. So everything resonates with me. But just one query I did have, and I guess I kind of know the answer, but I just thought I'd ask just to
Yes.
verify. And that's obviously oxidative stress is a real issue for health. And I'm guessing the way you would do a blood test first to see where you are, perhaps before you start with the Protandim, and then blood test again later to measure that oxidative stress.
It's a very good thing, especially if somebody is a little bit iffy. Is it going to work or is it not going to work? Kel-Anne, did you share the ABC report with Anton?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone here has
Seen the
had that
ABC.
one. Yeah.
So
Except I don't
you'll
find I
notice
haven't.
on the ABC report, they used the T-bar test. So in Australia, they don't do a T-bar test, but in New Zealand, they actually do a T-bar test. But if you test your blood for inflammatory markers, which is a standard blood test, it's very standard, that will show you whether your inflammatory markers are up or down. And that's a key indication of what your oxidative stress levels are.
Yeah.
I did that and all mine went down.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I get it done every 3 months.
Yeah, thanks, Margie. That's it. That's excellent. And thanks, Anton. That was a great question.
Yeah, thank you. Linda, to one of your points, I shared last week that I had a period of time because I was away and I didn't take the tablets with me. And I noticed I tend to get breakouts, but I think that's from coffee, and I tend to put butter in my coffee and things like that. So I do tend to have a lot of fats in my foods. And I was having these breakouts, and I thought that's weird. And then I went back onto the Protandim, and it's actually reduced dramatically.
Fascinating.
And also, I didn't think until last week when Margie mentioned about doubling up. You know, one is just for sort of maintenance, but having two is so I've been doing that this week, and that's been, I definitely feel different.
I'm awfully sensitive to sunlight. Even in winter, if I forget to put my UV cream on, bang.
All right, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm like that. I can go out on a cloudy day and get sunburned.
Yeah.
But I've always been like that.
So now I'm going to share something with you as we're talking about this particular issue.
Yeah.
Most people in Australia are quite conscientious about going to the skin cancer clinic or whatever it is that they go to have their skin checked. Not necessarily to go and have that one checked, but a general checkup. When I first arrived here in Australia, I had never had a skin check. And I had so much sun damage. I had to go every 3 months for a checkup, and they were forever burning things off and doing all kinds of things. Anyway, he eventually then moved me to every 6 months. Now, since I've been on Protandim, I go once a year, which I think is fantastic. And one of the most serious damage that I had was actually on my lip. Every time he checks my lip, he says, well, there's no damage. It's repaired and it's back to normal. It was so badly damaged that there was a risk of it turning into something more serious.
Well, I've already had one very large melanoma taken off my back already.
When it comes to, so Kel-Anne, there's a Dr. Joe McCord. He has one lecture that he did in America to the elite at the Elite Academy, which is our annual conference in the US, where he explained why Protandim has an effect of what I'm saying, it's not reducing cancer, it's not stopping cancer, it's not curing cancer. But what it does, it stops the proliferation of cancer cells. Those are the words that the research said. Now that's huge.
Louisiana State University.
Yeah.
The Cancer Foundation paid for the clinical trial at the Louisiana State University, and that was the result, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it was from that result that Louisiana University said to LifeVantage, we think you need to bring out a skincare range that's activated by NRF2. And that's how the skincare was born.
Their statement actually was that we believe that it could prevent cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer.
Yeah. So we are not allowed to claim it or
that's what they said.
Make any things like that. That's what they said. So we know that by taking Protandim, NRF1, 2, and NAD, it can improve your life in many ways. We know that. I've seen it. Wherever I go, I see it. Yeah.
Fascinating.
And, we're quite excited just for the rest of you on the call. I leave on Wednesday for the Philippines. I don't know whether you know, but the health of the mass population in the Philippines is really, really bad. There's extremely high levels of diabetes. I mean, almost epidemic proportions. And they're not really fat people, So we feel really excited that we can make a serious impact on the health of that nation. And I think that's why there's been such a huge uptake of interest in LifeVantage and the products and being able to do it as a business, because from their point of view, the economy in the Philippines is also very tough, if I can put it that way. Yeah. So we are in a very lucky position to be able to offer an opportunity for those that are open to come and have a look, try the products, and see how they can help others, their family and friends and community, because they're a very close-knit community, that lot. So, Lynette, do you have any questions, my love?
No, actually, I don't know. I've been taking it now, Kel-Anne, for about 7 months? 6, maybe a bit less, 6 months.
That long. Let me look it up for you.
I had very low iron levels, like critical iron levels last year. I just thought I was getting lazy, but then I couldn't put my hands above my head to wash my hair, couldn't walk, went to the doctor, they did blood tests and my iron levels were at a critical level. So they threw me straight into hospital and I had 6 transfusions.
Wow.
Plus a couple of iron infusions, and then tests showed that I had Helicobacter and had for a long time, and they think that probably was leaching the iron out of my blood.
Yeah.
And then Kel-Anne, and I, to be perfectly honest, I don't know how I'd know if it was working, but I've been on a weight loss campaign and I've lost 12 kilometres. I wish I'd lost 12 kilometres, 12 kilograms. And I'm and I feel good. And my son told me the other day, he said, Mum, you don't look like somebody who's lost a lot of weight. Your face still looks the same, reasonably the same. I'm 75. So I thought, well, that's a fair indication that something's working. So I'm putting it down to that. And I'm too frightened to stop it just in case. That is why I'm looking.
Oh, Lynette, congratulations.
Very
That
good.
is awesome. Congratulations. Keep going, my darling.
You started in February, Lynn.
Pardon?
You started in February.
February, March, April,
February. Yeah, and I have a granddaughter who's a personal trainer and a nutritionalist, and I think she's got CCTV everywhere because she knows exactly what I eat and when I don't. And if I walk or if I don't walk, she's only 22, but you'd think she's 107. But she, but it's been good. I said, I'll pay you, Emily, because if I don't pay you, it's easy to drop out.
Yes, you're committed.
Yeah, so I don't pay her as much as everybody else did. I told her I'm not paying her what everybody else pays her. I'm just paying her some money. Yeah, but so the combination, I feel, probably is why I feel healthy, and I can keep going. And somebody said to me today, God, you're walking so much faster. I had to go looking for you. And I thought, well, that's good. Obviously, that made it easier. And I'm trying not to waddle like 75-year-old people do.
So, Lynette, tell me, are you taking Protandim NRF1 and 2?
No, just the one. 2.
Well,
Just two.
Two. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would highly recommend you include Protandim NRF1 in that. You never have to increase Protandim NRF1. You only take 2 capsules first thing in the morning. You
Yep.
will notice a big difference in your ability to exercise more.
I walked 558 kilometres in May. My husband died with Parkinson's 2.5 years ago, and he'd had it for just on 20 years. And he was a health and fitness fanatic. I mean, until 4 years before he died, he still slopped around to just do 14 kilometres 3 times a week. He walked. People would ring me and say, just saw the old fella go past, Lynn. He's shuffling, but he's getting there. And he would walk that far because he thought use it or lose it. And eventually he lost it, of course. It's Parkinson's. So I did the stepping up for Parkinson's in May, and I had to walk 550 kilometres. And I thought, nobody will know if I cheat. And then a friend sponsored me for $100. The $10 didn't matter, but the 100 did. And I thought, oh God, now I'm going to have to do it. And I did 558 kilometres. My sister said because I'm an overachiever. Yes,
That's
in
wonderful.
May.
So
Yeah.
good.
Well done.
Wonderful.
Well done, my love.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Very good.
Not sure without it I'd have been able to do it. So I'm thinking I'm not stopping just in case that's what's
So,
helping. Yeah.
Lynette, it's really interesting you mentioned Parkinson's because you know that actor who had Parkinson's.
Yes, Michael J. Fox.
Michael J.
Yeah.
Fox, yeah.
So Michael
Well,
J.
they all
Fox
have
is a
now,
very
Alan Alda.
he's
Yeah.
a very private person,
Yes.
and no one knows that he
Mm.
has invested millions
Yes.
in the research of NRF2 and Protandim.
Has he? Because
Yeah.
I was thinking while you were speaking, I wish this had been around when we needed it for Dennis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought of that
So
for my grandfather
that's
too.
a prize
Yeah.
example of how taking one NRF2 for maintenance of good health, but someone who's been diagnosed with Parkinson's, the sooner they increase that up, they can take up to 5 a day. It can hold the Parkinson's at bay. And we've
Yeah,
seen
you
it.
know, it was
Yeah.
such a long, hard haul for him because he was a cricketer, a footballer, a bike racer, all of which, you know, people when I first got married, they'd say, you married to Danny Dunn? And I'd say, yes. And they'd say, oh, bloody good cricketer. I said to him, I wish just once somebody would say bloody good bloke. And he said, oh, you've got to wait till I die to say that before they'll say that. But he was a well-known sportsman in the area, and to lose his mobility was probably the hardest thing that he had to face.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been lovely to have had something that helped a bit, but they didn't. You know, he had all sporting injuries, of course, like bad backs and all that sort of stuff. But it was the Parkinson's that I think just destroyed him in the end. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you all so very much. Unfortunately, I have to run away.
I have to too.
Yeah. So thanks very much. I have
enjoyed
never cooked
meeting you
dinner
all.
yet. Yeah.
And you know, you
Yeah.
just need to go to Kel-Anne. She's the most awesome person. And I look forward to having you on another call when we do a similar exercise next month, because Kel and I have decided we're going to do it on a monthly basis.
great.
Each month. Yeah.
Love and
Right.
kisses.
Thank
to
you,
all of
Margie.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See everybody.
Enjoy the rest of
Take
your
care.
night.
Come out and see
Bye.
us sometime.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.